Hi, there we go. Hi, Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon on YouTube when I don't have technical problems. So I'm doing this from my phone. This is the first time I've ever done it from my phone before, so I apologize profusely. I hope this is going to the right place. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, Psychology Today will pop up, and it will have all of the therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka. There we go. Okay, so today's topic is revenge and resentment, because I figured there's been a lot of people contacting me going, I'm so angry, I want to get revenge, I'm angry, I'm holding on to all this resentment, I want to hurt them, I want to give as good as they got or gave and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted to talk about that because that seems to be up for a lot of people today. Also, I wanted to let you know, John and I are on the road because we decided to take the weekend and go to Sedona and Flagstaff. So I'm here in beautiful Sedona doing this video, and I love it here. It is so freaking gorgeous, and Flagstaff is amazing. We did our Christmas shopping, so it was awesome. Anyway, I'm sorry, a little scattered because new technology always freaks me out. Okay, so, and unfortunately I'm not able to see the comments. Can you see the comments? No, not yet. Okay, so oh, there we go. That just popped in. Hi. All right. So revenge and resentment. So what I tell people, and I understandably, you guys, you have a right to be angry. Now that's different than seeking revenge or different than hanging on to resentment. So let me talk about anger. Anger is part of the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn process. So anger is not a pure emotion. Love is love, lust is lust, happy is happy, sad is sad. Anger is always, always, always based in fear, and it's the fear of being hurt. Hi, Toronto. Hi, guys. It's the fear of being hurt. So anger is not pure. All the other emotions are pure. Whenever somebody is feeling angry, then they're feeling fear, because it's the fear of being hurt. It's the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn thing. So when somebody's going through fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, what ends up happening, hi South Africa, hi Washington, what ends up happening is the amygdala gets stimulated. Okay, so the amygdala is our little almond-shaped organ that sits about an inch inside of each ear. And the problem is that because anger is not a pure emotion, it's always because we're about to get hurt, and I'm going to explain that. So the amygdala is stupid. God love it. It is like 3 O's, stupid. It cannot tell the difference between a real threat, okay, a thought about a real threat, something you're daydreaming about in the future. So like you're sitting there and you're imagining, well, what if a gunman walks in and this happens and that happens? Well, pretty soon your heart starts pounding and everything starts in your body responding as if that were really happening. Because all fear is, and here I'm going to blow your mind again, it's a thought. That's it. It's not real. It's a thought. That's all it is. And that's enough to get the amygdala doing this process. So the amygdala recognizes a threat coming in. So we've thought about something, an emotional threat, a physical threat, something that's happened in the past, and it starts ramping up, and it tells the hippocampus and the hypothalamus that sit on either side of it, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, we're in danger, we're in danger, in danger. We need cortisol. Cortisol is our stress, good Lord, hello Scotland, our stress hormone, okay? So the cortisol floods the system, the body starts tensing up, because we're getting ready to kill something, run away, freeze like a bunny rabbit, or give in to whatever is threatening us so that we don't get killed. So fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So what happens then is our shoulders and our ears become one. We stop breathing. We don't have enough oxygen CO2 exchange, okay? Because we're tight, we're tense, we're getting ready to kill something, run away, freeze, or give into it. So there's not enough oxygen CO2 exchange. Then what happens is that tells another part of the brain, a little further down on the brainstem, holy shit, we're gonna die. And so then that tells the adrenal gland to release all of the adrenaline in the body at once. So now we've got all of this adrenaline running through our body. We've got all this extra energy. We are shaking like a leaf, heart pounding out of our chest, racing thoughts. Then what happens is one of two responses. You either go into the stereotypical panic attack, which is the, I can't breathe, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna keel over, and then you keel over. Or you go into a rage attack. And it's because of the fear of being hurt. That's why anger is not a pure emotion. It is always, always, always based on the fear of being hurt. So when somebody says, hey, USA, when somebody says, I'm angry, the first question I ask them is, what are you afraid of? What's the fear? How did you get hurt? Who hurt you? How did you get hurt? So the natural response to hurt is to be angry, correct? However, what we tend to do is, hello, Holland, this is kind of cool because I get to see all the questions and stuff as they come up. I might want to do this more often. Sorry. Squirrel. Just not on an iPhone. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm having to use my husband's phone because my phone just would not behave. Anyway, so what we do is when we've been hurt, we get angry. And boy, that is normal. So yeah, angry a lot. We do, because if we're constantly getting hurt. So if you're in that situation where the abuser is still abusing you and they're constantly putting you down and you're constantly in a state of CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, you're always being hurt. You're always being put down. You're always being manipulated. You're always being damned. You're always never good enough. It's never right. Blah, 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 blah. You're in a constant state of anger. And when we leave and we really take a look at all of that and we go, holy crap, hey, Lyndon, and we go, wow, that wasn't fair. That wasn't right. How come they did that? Why? That's not right. How dare they? And so that is justifiable anger. You have a right to your anger, guys. You do. What you don't want to do, though, is hang on to that anger and turn it into resentment. Okay, let's talk about that. So anger is a normal response to having been hurt, and you have a right to it. You do. So what you do with anger, things that you can do with anger that are healthy, okay, not unhealthy, but healthy, you can write it out. That's cognitive behavioral. So that's why I'm always encouraging people, get your pen and pencil or your computer and write it out. Write it out. How did you get hurt? Who hurt you? Why did they hurt you? When did they hurt you? What happened? The good, the bad, the ugly, the horrific, and at the very, very end, you unload with both barrels any and everything you need to say. Do not send it. Good Lord, hello, Romania. I had no idea I had people all over the world. This is really cool. So you unload at the very end with both barrels. You let them have it with both barrels, but here's the thing, you don't send it. This is not for them. They're not going to get your angry letter and suddenly have this, V8 moment. Oh my God, I could have had a V8. I should have been kind. I should have been normal. I should have been nice. I should have been blah, 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 blah. No, that's not going to happen. Oh, hun, I think I had a question that I missed. So if you could kind of, when I write it out, then I get, whoa, more angry. Yes, this is normal. So the problem of it is that for years and years and years and years, you've been repressed. It's not, I don't know about you guys, but when I got angry with my dad, he would threaten me and say, I'll give you something to be angry about, or I'll give you something to cry about, or I'll give you something to fill in the blank. And so emotions were never safe with the abuser. So now that you're out and away from the abuse, or even if you're not out and away from the abuse, start writing it out. Start writing it out. Get it out of your head, get it onto paper. Why? Because the amygdala, God love it, not the brightest organ in the entire world. It isn't, because it cannot tell the difference between having actually done something and just writing it out. So that's why I'm saying the amygdala is not really great with processing stuff. So it can't tell, like I said, it can't tell the difference between a real threat, a thought about a real threat, an emotional threat, a thought about an emotional threat, daydreaming about a threat, or some event that has happened in the past. So writing it out helps. Does it make you more angry? Yeah. You want to know why? Because you're probably allowing yourself to remember more and more hurt and more abuse that has happened. And that's why you're getting more and more angry. And guess what? That's okay. It's just an acknowledgement of how deeply you have been hurt. That's really all anger is. Anger is just an arrow pointing to how deeply you have been hurt. So, okay, hold on, more questions. I can't read them fast enough. If I miss one, can you kind of alert me and let me know, hun? So, because it flashes up on the screen and then it goes away like in a second or two. So, okay, so how do we resolve anger? So basically you got to acknowledge it. You just got to acknowledge it. So remember, if you resist something, you don't want to resist a thought. You don't want to act on it either, but you don't want to resist it. So in other words, if your anger is like, oh man, I really want to just go and just, throat punch them or dick punch them or whatever it is you want to punch, you can't do that. You can't, because A, you're going to go to jail, and B, really not good for you. And C, it's really important that you be authentic to yourself and validate the anger, but not harm anybody else. Remember, thou shalt do no harm. That is really what we want out of this. So to resolve the anger, you write it out. You get it out of your head. You put it down onto paper, okay? And then what you do is you burn it. And what that does is that tells the brain, oh, I've done something with it. And then you let it go, quite literally, like the words carry off in the smoke, and that's what you want to do. A question about Jess. Jess is doing fine, thank you. His girlfriend just came back from wherever she was, and they're doing great. So yeah, he's awesome. I love him to death. So you write it out, you burn it, and the act of burning it is letting it go. And that's what we don't do when it turns into resentment. So let's talk about when anger turns into resentment. So resentment is old anger. It's not current anger, it's old anger, okay? And it's when we make a checklist of everything we hate a person for, and we hang on to it, and we wear it like a badge of honor. And that is just not a healthy thing to do. It's not. So resentment is when we hold grudges. And grudges are not healthy. You can acknowledge that somebody hurt you, absolutely. You can write it out and burn it, but then you gotta let it go at some point, because otherwise you are just living your life in anger all the time. And so you guys know I'm a recovering alcoholic, okay? And my dad was one of the most angry people I have ever seen in my life. I mean, drop of a hat, he would find a reason why to be angry, why to hurt, why to harm, why to do this, why to do that. And his anger was always quote unquote justified. So in other words, he would come up with reasons why to be angry, why to hurt people, why to do this, why to do that. So this is what abusers do. So abusers love to be cruel, and they love to justify their anger. Their anger is different. Let me explain this. Their anger is different than our anger. So healthy, normal anger is based in fear. Let me revise that. Healthy, normal anger is based in fear. With an abuser, it's based in how can I manipulate? It's based on how can I harm, how can I control, how can I manipulate. Their anger is used to shut people down. It's used to shut people up. It's used to make them do whatever they want them to do, etc. And their anger is generally bullshit. So they find something to become angry about. Why? And you'll see this in AA meetings too. If you go to an AA meeting and it's filled with the old AAers, okay, like the old timers, right? First of all, there will be a blue haze of cigarette smoke. Second of all, there will be a whole bunch of what we call dry drunks. And the dry drunks are doing all of the behavior that an alcoholic has, except they're not using. They're dry, they're sober, but their behavior is all the same. And with narcissists, with abusers, what they do is, just like with the dry drunks, they need an excuse to get the anger going. Why? Because anger stimulates the endorphins and the dopamines and the serotonins, and it's a high, and they literally get high off of it. So abusers enjoy the anger. They look for reasons to be angry. They're not afraid. They're looking for reasons to be angry so that they can jack up their endorphins and dopamines and serotonins and get a high off of it and feel powerful. That's what it's all about for them. When we get angry after we have been abused, we are hurt, and we are trying to figure out why. And we're also trying to let the abuser know, hey, you hurt me, but here's the thing, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care that they hurt you. They really, truly do not. When I say they don't have empathy, guys, when I say that there is no there, there's no there. They don't, there's no heart. There's no soul. There's no empathy. They don't care that they've hurt another human being. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, you hurt me, I'm willing to go, hey, I'm sorry. That wasn't my intent. But then if they continue on and try to use that as a manipulation and control, then I'm like, okay, we're done. You know, I've apologized. We are done. So, yes, question.
So there's a question about how do I know if our anger is not a pure fight response?
So, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. When we respond in anger to a threat, that's a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. Does that make sense?
I think they're trying to. I almost get the impression maybe they think, what kind of anger? What's driving the anger? How do we know what's behind?
How do we know what's behind the anger? So this is where journaling really comes in handy. This is when journaling really, really, really comes in handy. So you've got to figure out, why are you angry? What are you angry about? So when John and I first got together, and this is what I wanted to talk about, I had so much anger because my dad was horrible. He would, you know, beat the living shit out of me every chance he fucking got. And he was always putting me down and telling me I was the cute one and not the smart one, and I'd never amount much to anything, and blah, 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 blah. So when I got out and I started working on myself, I was hugely angry, just resentful and angry, and I wanted him to hurt, and I wanted him to get it, and I wanted him to understand, and I wanted him to whatever. But here's the thing. They're never going to get it. They're never going to understand. They're never going to change. They're never going to suddenly have an epiphany and go, oh, my God, I am so sorry. I hurt you. I was inauthentic. I was letting my ego drive the show. They're never going to do that. Never. Ever, ever, ever. And if they do, it's because they're afraid of dying, or they're dying, or they've got some agenda behind it. So don't do anything expecting them to change. Okay? You are going to work on your anger for you, not for another person. You are working on your anger for you. Okay? This is all about you. So when you write it out, you address it to your abuser, dear whoever. Here's the good. Boy, when I fell for you, you mirrored me perfectly. I thought you and I were together, and this, that, and the other thing. But then your mask started slipping, and you started calling me names and devaluing me and putting me down, and this, that, and the other thing. And then you just keep going through the good, the bad, the ugly, the horrific. And at the very, very end, you take your power back. You know what, motherfucker? Yeah, I got a lot to be angry about. And you know what? I'm not giving you the power. I'm not. I'm going to write it out. Fuck you. We're done. I'm kicking you out of my head. You are not allowed to live in my head rent-free anymore. I'm evicting you. Good fucking bye. Go fuck yourself sideways with an unlubricated baseball bat, and then you trot it out to the barbecue and you burn it and you let it go. Now, this is not going to be a one and done. This is not going to be a one and done. It's not. You know, I wrote multiple letters to my dad. So when I got out of the abuse, and I was working on myself, and I was getting clean and sober, I was hugely angry. John used to joke, it's like, here's Chris happy. Here's Chris sad. Here's Chris just hanging out. You know, I was angry all the goddamn time, and I had a lot to be angry about. But I didn't understand why I was angry. I didn't understand why I was so hurt until I really started working on me and doing the self-esteem and doing the boundaries and doing the, whoa, my boundaries got mowed over by this guy. Whoa, my boundaries really got mowed over by the... Whoa, my self-esteem really got hurt. Whoa, I didn't know who the hell I was. Do you see where I'm going with that? So you work on you. So, yeah, angry in different shades. That's exactly it. 50 Shades of Anger. That's exactly it. I mean, so when we come out of an abusive relationship, yeah, we are going to be hugely angry. We're going to be confused. We're not going to know who the hell we are. Honestly, I have people sit on my couch, and it's frustrating and angering to me because I think it's frightening that the abusers are so powerful that people will literally sit down and go, I can't even tell you what food I like anymore because my abuser has insisted that I like everything they do. So anger is a natural part of the process, but what is not a natural part of the process is hanging on to it. So this kind of slides into revenge. If we do not handle our anger, if we do not figure out what's going on, where did we get hurt? Why did we get hurt? Who hurt us? What's the deal? What was my contribution to this? What was their contribution to this? You gotta figure all this stuff out. So, and I'm not victim blaming. I want to make that extremely clear. Okay, it's just about taking personal responsibility. It's not going, oh, all of this is my fault. No, no, no. It's like, okay, so they hurt me, I got angry, but ooh, I hung on to the anger. Ooh, I wanted revenge. Oh, let's talk about revenge. All right, so revenge is a part of anger because we've been hurt. So from a child perspective, children are very action response, action response, action response. They react. They don't think things through because cognitively they cannot. So when a child gets hurt, they tend to respond with anger quite quickly. So if you watch kids on the playground, if one child accidentally gets their thumb smashed, they will turn around and hit the kid that did it, even though the kid didn't mean to. Okay? So it's an action response, action response, action response. Yes.
It was just a question about, like, what if you're angry all the time, like in everyday situations? What's behind that?
So it's a learned behavior. So anger, like any emotion, is a learned behavior. So what you have to do is you have to start figuring out, again, journaling, self-work, why? Why are you angry? What is it doing for you? Are you getting high off the endorphins, the dopamines, serotonins, norepinephrines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Is that what's going on? Because I know for me, that was part of it. It absolutely was, because it was kind of like, rawr, and then it was like, dude, everything's so green. Seriously. It's true. It is a high. I kid you the fuck not. But once you recognize that and you work on it and you go, I don't want to be that. And then you take steps to not be that. You have to figure out what the real hurt is. You have to figure out what the real anger is. Who hurt you? How did they hurt you? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And the revenge does not get rid of the anger. You are absolutely 110% correct. That's what I want to talk about, because I've got a couple of people on Facebook, God love them, that every single time I post something about, revenge is a dish best served cold. In other words, go live your life. Go be happy. The best revenge is living well, that kind of thing. They will always post, oh, but it feels so good. Okay, let's talk about that. So going back to the kids on the playground. They are reactionary, okay? And in the moment, it might feel good to get revenge. But if you have a soul, eventually it won't. It just won't. It's like, let it go. Good God. And not everybody's harm or hurt is necessarily intentional. Now, from abusers, yeah, absolutely, they plan it out. Don't even kid yourself. But like in everyday situations, okay, the guy that cuts you off on the freeway, how do you know that he's not rushing his dog to the vet? The person who's rude at the office, how do you know their husband isn't dying of a terminal cancer? You don't know what's going on with other people. There's almost always reasons why people are misbehaving. Right? And it's not your job to figure it out. It's also not your job to allow that abuse to continue. It's also not your job to put up with it. If somebody's being rude, you don't put up with it. But you don't respond in kind. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So in everyday situations, you have to figure out, why are you allowing yourself to get high off the anger? Why? What are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What does this remind you of? What does this situation remind you of? When were you disrespected last? Who disrespected you? How did you feel? How old do you feel? Ooh, there's a good question. How old do you feel when you are doing the anger? Oftentimes, if we're honest with ourselves, we feel about, 2, 3, round in there, little. So, all right, let's talk about resentment again. Sorry, I just briefly saw. Did you see that question on resentment? I couldn't catch it.
I can't get in touch with the anger, and it's just resentment. What should I do?
Okay, so resentment is old anger. Resentment is old anger. It's not current anger. Current anger is a flash. Current anger is a right here, right now. Resentment is old anger. Resentment is no, I'm not going to put down my coffee cup. It's warm. Resentment is old anger. So it's old hurt. It's old things that have happened. So what we have to do is, we cannot go back in a time machine. I wish we could. Wouldn't that be lovely? Hello, David Tennant. Go back in a time machine and fix things or change things. We can't do that. But the next best thing that we can do is write it out and let it go. Do not give it the power. You're handing your power over to your abuser again. It's almost like secondary abuse, because our abuser is living in our head. Hold on a second. Our abuser is living in our head, and it's really, really important to kick them the fuck out, evict them. Evict them. They have no business living there. You cannot live your life in resentment, because if you're living your life in resentment, you're living your life in the past, number one. And number two, you're constantly living in a, oh, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. What are you living? Are you living your life? Are you having fun? Are you loving? Are you loving yourself? Are you having a good time? Probably not. So getting rid of resentment is getting rid of old hurts, which means writing it out. And you just acknowledge it. It's like, okay, let's say that we had a grandparent that was really super abusive. Dear grandma or grandpa, okay, you're dead. I can't confront you, but here's this letter that I'm going to write to you, and I'm going to burn it, and I'm going to send the smoke and the words to heaven or hell, wherever you are. And this is how I'm going to resolve it. And then you write it out. The good, the bad, the ugly, the horrific, all of it. And at the very, very end, you tell them, I am sending all of my anger. And I'll bet you most of the anger is not even yours. It's probably theirs, because it's learned behavior. We watch them rage. We watch them scream. We watch them harm. We watch them hurt. So a lot of it is probably theirs. So you send all of it back to them. It's not mine. It's not my baggage. I'm going to put this back on the baggage carousel. It's not mine. Somebody else's. So I'm sending this back to wherever it belongs. I'm sending it back to its maker. I'm not going to keep it. I'm sending it back to its maker. I don't need it. Thanks for playing. Thank you for your anger. Goodbye. Oh, this reminds me of a great Buddhist story, since I am in Sedona. So Buddha was sitting under a tree, and a gentleman came up to him. And Buddha had been, teaching and lecturing and all of that good stuff. And the man came to him, and he was just pissed off because Buddha was so happy. Buddha was serene. Buddha was at peace. And so the man came to Buddha and was like, Buddha, I am so angry with you, and you're this and you're that, and called him names and kicked dirt at him and everything. And Buddha wouldn't get mad. Buddha just would not get mad. And the man just couldn't understand it. And he was like, why aren't you getting angry? And Buddha said, what do you do when someone comes to your home and brings you a gift that you do not want? And the man thought about it for a minute. And he's like, well, I refuse the gift. And Buddha said, so too with you. I am sending you back home with your own anger. Isn't that cool? So, you don't have to attend every single argument you're invited to. You don't have to accept anger that's not yours. You don't. I know, it's a mind blower, isn't it? It's like one of those things where you're like, oh, what? Really? Yeah. So that's really what it's all about, is that you do not have to accept emotions that are not yours. But here's the thing, us as caregivers, us as codependents, right? Empaths, we have a tendency to take on everybody's emotions. And we think that if we take them on and mirror them, that somehow we can show them what they're doing and fix them, or help them feel better, or whatever, So you can't. And what you do is you just refuse. It's like, I'm not going to accept that emotion. No, thank you. So a great example of that is trolls. So occasionally, and especially for some reason, the holidays bring out the best and the worst in people. So when trolls start writing nasty things on the blogs, first of all, my admins get rid of them. If I happen to see one, I don't engage. You're not going to change them. They're not going to suddenly have an epiphany and go, oh my God, I'm being a total twat. They're not. They're not going to figure that out. So you just don't engage. Just like Buddha. Buddha was like, well, so too with you. I'm sending your anger back with you to your family. Good luck with that. Bye.
There was an earlier question about,
yeah.
Can you channel your anger into motivation?
Yes, you abso-freaking-lutely can. So anger can be a great motivator. It really can. And what happens with me is that when I am angry at something, I channel it into something else. And what I like to do is I like to work out on a punching bag. That gets me to work out. It's great. So I've got one of those little, human-shaped punching bags out in the backyard. And I start wailing on it, If I'm feeling angry, I'll work it out. And generally what happens for me, again, because anger is based in hurt, is what I'll do is I'll, punch for about maybe 2 minutes. And then all of a sudden I'm crying. Because it's like I'm accessing the sad. It's like, ooh, where did I get hurt? Oh, there it is. Okay. And then I'll stop and I'll cry for a little bit. And then I'll go back to punching the bag. And then I'll cry for a little bit. And then I'll punch the bag. And then I'll cry for a little bit. And it's a great workout. So yeah, you can channel it into something else. Or you can channel it into art. It's like, where did you get hurt? Where did you get harmed? Who harmed you? Can you teach somebody else based on what you went through. That's the really, really important thing. So it's yeah, you can channel it into something good. So always use your powers for good, not evil. Always use your powers for good, not evil. And this is something else that I wanted to point out is that in one of the memes I posted earlier this week, one of the things that abusers do is they always say, well, I had a bad childhood. I had a bad childhood. I'm allowed to be angry. I'm allowed to rage. I'm allowed to be this, that, and the other thing because I had a bad childhood. I'm sorry, if I could do the little moo thing, I would right now. Moo! Because that's a load of crap. I had a bad childhood. I am trying to make the world a better place. I am trying to save people from abusers. Abusers, on the other hand, continue to abuse. And they use the anger, they use the bad childhood as an excuse to manipulate, to control, to harm, to troll, to do whatever. So, there you go. All right, there was another question I missed.
There is one that says, okay, so this person tried everything with her husband to realize that he was raised in a total narc family with his mom enabling his blind codependent mother.
Okay.
My husband completely backs them up.
Okay.
Other questions like that.
Okay. So in-laws. So here's the thing. If you're dealing with a toxic in-law, is that the situation? Did I read that correctly? Or did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
The husband won't see
The husband won't see the. So here's the deal. At some point, you're going to have to make a choice. And either you accept, so really all of life is either accepting or changing. That's really what it is. You know, you either accept the situation and realize that he's not going to change and the family's not going to change. And can you deal with that? Or you're going to have to go, nope, line in the sand. I'm done. I'm not putting up with this. And if the husband is unwilling to do anything about it, then you need to take a look at what you want. What do you want? What do you need? What's going to be best for you? Do you want to stick around and continue to be a punching bag for somebody who is disordered? You know? And the answer to that for me is no. So, you know, it's not a healthy thing. So there that is. And it's hard because if there's kids involved, you're going to have to look at, you know, staying in the marriage, not staying in the marriage, divorce, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anger is the only thing. Why do these things not stay up long enough for me to read?
It said, okay, so what to do about a loss of faith in the world and humanity due to natural triangulation of good people by abusers? And there's been other questions. What if I'm just angry at the world? Or the
Okay.
destroy?
Well, okay, so you have a right to be angry. You do. I'll tell you something. In the last 2 years, y'all know what I'm talking about, politically correct. Not political correctness, but politically, correct. In the last 2 years, we have seen a huge triangulation and a huge flying monkeys and all sorts of nasty stuff going on. Here's the deal, guys, and I want to remind you this. The media, if it bleeds, it leads. You got to understand. They post the most horrible things because people read it. If people would stop reading the most horrible things, I can guarantee you they would say, hey, it's Patty Kincaid's birthday today. Let's help her celebrate. You know, they would. But it's, which by the way, it is Patty Kincaid's birthday today. So there you go. She's a friend of mine. Anyway, the point being is, if everybody looked at the good stuff, then they wouldn't be posting the bad stuff. But everybody looks at the bad stuff. If it bleeds, it leads. And so that, unfortunately, creates this situation where we start believing that everything is horrible and everything is bad. Now, are we in deep doo-doo with the environment? You bet your sweet bippy. That I am very, very, very concerned about. But getting angry about it's not going to do any good unless, of course, you're going out and protesting and writing your senator and writing your government and, you know, letting them know, no more, we're done. We're done, people. Revolution, hello. You know? So if you're doing that, that's great. But if you just sit there and you just go, oh my God, everything is shit, and oh my God, this is horrible, and oh my God, this is terrible, and everybody's terrible, and no, not everybody's terrible, guys. Not everybody's terrible. Are there terrible things going on? You bet your sweet bippy. So you know what you do? You find like-minded people. You protest. You write your senators. You write your representatives. You write your governor. It doesn't matter that they're on the opposite side of the fence. You let them know that we are out there. There is always hope. Always. And there are always good people. You just got to find them. You're not going to find them at a rally where they're, you know, declaring themselves the superior race. Those are not the good people. The good people are the ones that are trying to fix the world. The good people are the ones that are out there helping other people. The good people are the ones that are taking care of themselves and taking care of others and being authentic and loving. Those are the good people. Go find your tribe. Go find your tribe. So for me, my tribe is a meditation group that I have. I've got this great meditation group in downtown Phoenix that I absolutely love. Activism is a great thing. It absolutely is. It gives you power. It gives you a voice. This is the biggest thing. We feel hopeless when we lose our voice. We feel hopeless when we lose our voice. Don't lose your voice. You've got a voice, use it. Use it. Write letters. Do emails. Join a protest. Get involved with a group. Join whatever party it is that you feel compelled to, but do something. Don't just sit there and go, oh, it's horrible, it's terrible, and I'm going to be a victim. No, fuck that shit. You're not a victim. You're not a tree. You can move. So do something. So that's what I'm saying. Are things kind of bad? Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, hell yeah. But remember, the media, if it bleeds, it leads. So don't believe everything you read. Don't believe that it's the majority is bad. So getting back to resentment, because I got way off track here. That's what I do. Squirrel. Okay, so resentment is old anger. And then out of resentment comes revenge and the want to get back at somebody. First of all, bad karma. Oh, there's a whole bunch of questions, John. There's a whole bunch of questions going through. What are we doing?
People laying down on the bed.
Okay. So okay, sorry, I'm squirrel. I am so squirrel right now. Okay, let me try to refocus.
Why don't you finish on resentment?
Let me finish on resentment. Okay. So resentment, old anger, leads to wanting revenge because we think the 2-year-old in us thinks that if we get revenge, we're going to feel better. And the truth of the matter is, you're not. It's bad karma. It's totally bad karma. Going and hurting your abuser as badly as they hurt you does not make you the better person. It doesn't. And I know that there is that feeling of, yes, but they're getting away with it. Yes, but they're continuing to harm other people. Yes, but they've gotten involved with a new supply and I should be telling them and I should ruin their relationship because he ruined my life or she ruined my life or whatever it is. No, with a side of no and an extra helping of no. Here's what's going to happen. You go and tell the new supply and they are going to dig their heels in and the narcissist or the abuser or whoever it is going to say, see, told you. He or she is crazy. Told you. And they're going to not believe you and you'll look crazy. And then the narcissist now has the perfect triangulation. I can't get my other hand up because if I do that, I'm going to drop the phone. So imagine a triangle. A perfect triangulation to keep you the bad guy so that they have something to focus their new supply on instead of them. So what you want to do is you want to back the hell off and let the new supply see how cray-cray that person really is. There you go. So revenge does not do any good. The best revenge, honest to God, listen to me now, believe me later. I swear to God, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. Listen to me now, believe me later. You live your life. You do you. You make your life the best possible life ever. And forgiveness, I want to talk about that. Forgiveness is not about going, oh, I forgive you and therefore I'm going to forget. No. That is not what that is about. There's a great book called Radical Forgiveness and Radical Acceptance. So Radical Acceptance is by Tara Brach. Radical Forgiveness is by Colin Tipping. So here's the deal. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's not. Everybody thinks it is. Everybody's like, well, I'm not going to forgive them because that just gives them a pass. No, that does not give them a pass. What they did, they did. The forgiveness is for you. In other words, you're letting them go. Because remember, abusers would rather have a fucked up, dysfunctional connection to somebody than no connection at all. They would rather keep the anger going and the fighting and the this and the that for years and years and years than to have no connection at all. The best thing and / the worst thing you can do to an abuser is to let them go. Just let them go. Let them implode. So when you think about resentment and anger and revenge, think about Kung Fu. So in Kung Fu, when you have an opponent coming at you, you don't want to meet fist with fist because you're going to get hurt, right? So when somebody comes at you, what you do is you step the fuck out of the way and let them go to their own destruction. My Sifu told me that over and over again. He's like, stop trying to stop them. You just step out of the way and let them literally take themselves down to the ground. And they do. So what they do is they're so bent on being right because they've got ego. They've got every single abuser out there has got ego like nobody's business. So they want to meet fight with fight, fist with fist. And so when somebody just refuses, when you gray rock or when you no contact and gray rock or whatever, they've got nothing to fight against. It's no fun for them. So they're not having any fun just sailing past. It's like, why aren't you fighting me? Why aren't you yelling at me? Why aren't you responding to me? Poke, 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 poke. And you just let them poke, 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 and you copy everything, and you make screenshots of everything if you're in the middle of a divorce, and you save that and you bring it to the judge. Hi, this is what this crazy has been doing. Hello. Do you see where I'm going with that? So you don't meet anger with anger. What you do is when they come at you with anger, it's because they want you to be the bad guy. So you step aside and you let them show themselves and reveal themselves for who they are. Living well is the best revenge. Go have fun. Go have fun. Go take that college course that you've always wanted to take. Go travel. Go explore, go write that book, go write that song, go join a garage band, all the things that your abuser refused to let you do. Go fucking do it. Go do it. Go be great. Yeah.
There is a question, how do you deal with it if it's like getting divorced from somebody who is the crazy narcissist and you have a kid and the kid's like, well, are they crazy or are they not? Or do you stand
Okay.
aside and-
So here's the thing. You cannot come straight out and say that your ex is crazy, but what you can say is, well, honey, what does your gut tell you? Is that behavior normal, do you think, for a parent? And that's the truth. So you cannot badmouth the other parent. And here's the reason why. Because especially if, please, people do not get into an accident. Thank you very much.
Also, repeat the question.
Repeat the question. Oh, you can't hear. Oh, sorry. So really? The question is, if you're in a divorce with somebody and the child is questioning whether the other parent is crazy, you validate. Well, is this behavior normal? I don't think so. Do you think it's normal? And you just encourage them to trust their gut. If their gut is telling them it's not normal, guess what? It's not normal. So you encourage the child to trust their gut. You do not want to badmouth the other parent. And that is the natural inclination, is to just be like, your father or your mother. But you don't want to do that. Why? Because that kid is 50% that person. And what the basic unsaid message is that 50% of them is bad. Therefore, do you really love me? Am I okay? Am I a good person? My mom all the time, God bless her, she would say things like, oh, I never should have had children with that man. Really? Wow. How do you think that makes a kid feel? You don't want to say shit like that. And she didn't mean it like, I didn't want you, but she was like, I didn't want to have children with that man. I shouldn't have had children with that man, which she was absolutely correct. But the point being is, you don't want to say that to a kid because a kid is going to personalize it. A kid is going to take it personally. So when you are dealing with the anger and the resentment towards an ex and you're in the middle of a divorce and you're in the middle of custody and you're going to be ongoing until that poor kid is 18, you make it in your divorce decree that the child gets therapy. You make that is a scary large bird. Stop it. You make it so that it's in the divorce decree that the child gets therapy. If you can, you get final say in all medical. Do it. And you are going to co-parent. You are not going, or you're going to parallel parent. Sorry. Parallel parent. You're not going to co-parent. There is no co-nothing with these fuckers. They're not going to get it. They're going to want to destroy you, and if they can use the kid to do it, they will. And that's the sucky thing. And so this is what I tell clients all the time when I'm dealing with couples counseling, and it looks like they may be heading towards a divorce. I always tell them, look, here's the deal. I don't care how angry you are at each other. You two must love your child or your children more than you hate each other. Period. Fucking-id. Okay? You have got to love your child more than you hate your ex. Period. And what I see all the time is narcissistic abusers are ego-driven, and all they want to do is win, and they will drag things out, and they will use the kid as a pawn, and they will badmouth the other parent, etc., etc., etc. So anyway, so you're gonna parallel parent. And with the anger with that, you give the kid a journal, and hey, if either one of us do something to piss you off, this is a great thing to do. Keep it here because you don't want it going back over to the other parent's house because the other parent will use it against the kid. But, write it all out, and then let's once a week burn it. Let's just get rid of it. Let's just let it go. And I won't ever read it because this is yours. Because kids need privacy, because abusers don't give them privacy. They absolutely don't. Yeah, question.
In a related question, my daughter keeps telling me to leave my husband. What should I do? How do I respond? She knows he drives us both nuts.
Oh, this one touches close to home. I used to tell my mom all the time, fucking leave him. Fucking leave him. He fucking leave him. And she wouldn't. She absolutely wouldn't. So I can't tell you what to do. I really can't. But here's the thing. Pros and con. Pros and con. What are the pro and the cons? What's the pro of leaving? What's the con of leaving? What do you want to do? What is going to be best for you and your daughter? That's really it. So you got to do a pro and a con list. And if your daughter is saying that, it's time for therapy, guys. It's time for therapy. Go get into a therapist. Absolutely. Not for you and your spouse, you and your daughter. Your daughter has obviously got some things that she needs to say to you. And you've got some things that you've got to work on. So write out the pros, write out the cons. What are the cons of going? What are the pros of going? And what you do is you do it on 2 different pieces of paper on 2 different complete days. Because what you're going to do, if you don't do that, you're going to skew the results. Because you already know the answer. You just don't like the answer. So what you're going to do is you're going to do the pros on one day. You're going to set it aside somewhere safe that nobody can read. And then you're going to go away, and then you'll come back and get a different piece of paper and do the cons, and then you're going to compare them. And whichever one is longer, that's what needs to happen. So there it is. Okay, there was one question
There's
that just...
another question.
Okay.
How to deal with when the toxic person badmouths you everywhere and they confront you about your abuse towards them? How do you react when they're like trying to get in your face and confronting you?
Gray rock.
Yeah.
Gray rock. So let me put it to you this way. In the years of counseling that I have done, one of the greatest things I ever learned was gray rock, because I will have abusers sit on the couch and get right up in my face and start screaming at me, trying to intimidate me. And of course, wrong person. If you know me, that's not gonna fucking happen. But in my earlier days of counseling, I would get scared and I would get angry, right? Because I hadn't quite mastered yet the anger. So what I have learned is gray rock. So they are right at me, right? And so what I do is I go, oh, wow, it's an interesting little vein popping out on your neck there. You're gonna stroke out there. I just don't take it personally. And what I do is I go, oh, I see you're very scared. And that pisses them off so badly. So when somebody comes at you with anger, they're fearful. They're a fearful opponent. They're so easy to sidestep. They are. But we get caught up in the anger and we think, oh my gosh, they're more powerful, so I have to meet anger with anger. No, you do what Buddha did. Thank you for your gift of anger. I choose not to participate. So with the smearing, that is the smear campaign. And they desperately want to make you look like the bad guy. You know what the best response to that is? Nothing. No response. You don't engage. You just don't. You don't try to defend yourself. This is the thing. What they do is they get us caught in the trap of having to defend ourselves, okay? And what they do is they try to get us on the defensive. That's, if you look at any, how do I explain this? If you look at any good strategist, okay, you never want to be on the defensive. You always want to be on the offensive, right? You always want to be the one going forward. You don't want to be the one having to retreat, okay? It's talking about the Civil War. I was going to say this is why Lee was so fucked up in Gettysburg, which was good. But anyway, the point being, right? Am I right about that? I'm right about that. Lee fucked it up. Jesus Christ. Anyway, but the point being, I mean, for a smart general, he was really stupid in that situation. Anyway, the point being is that you never want to be on the defensive. You always want to be on the offensive. And when they get us on the offenses, when they have us on the ropes, is when they get us having to explain that we're not the abuser. So you don't. You just go, that's interesting. Interesting. And if somebody comes back to you with that, they're a flying monkey. Because look, either people know who you are or they don't. And if they don't know who you are, they're not your friend. They're not, period. So you just don't ever go on the defensive. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. You cannot control them. This is part of the control thing. This is part of the, oh my gosh, they've done this to me and I need to do, no, you don't. You don't. You don't need to explain. You don't need to defend. You don't need to prove that they're wrong. You don't need to do anything. You let it the fuck go. And you just sit there and go, wow, that's interesting. Yep, interesting. Sorry you feel that way. And you walk away. You don't engage. You do not engage. You do not engage. You just don't engage. Again, like with Buddha, thank you for your gift of anger. I choose not to accept it. Take it back home to your family. Bye. That kind of thing. All right, another question that I missed, I'm pretty sure.
There's a question, are they going to put CPTSD in the DSM?
That I do not know. There is a huge debate going on, and guys, I'm telling you, y'all need to speak up. Y'all need to get a hold of the APA and the ACA, and you need to let them know in no uncertain terms that the personality disorders cannot cannot go away. And furthermore, they need to have CPTSD in the DSM. And furthermore, they also need to have narcissistic abuse survivor syndrome, or just abuse survivor syndrome, because everyone acts the exact same, because all of the abusers act the exact same. So, and remember, the DSM is a very political thing. So, and you've got practitioners out there that are quote unquote humanists that don't want to offend anybody and they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but you know, I don't give a fuck what the abuser's feelings are. I really don't. When you've reached the point when you are actively harming somebody, y'all can fuck yourself sideways with an unlubricated baseball bat, as far as I'm concerned. So it angers me that these humanists out there are protecting abusers, and I'm like, fuck that shit. So write the APA, write the ACA, get a hold of anybody that has anything to do with the DSM, and you let them know what needs to happen for the survivors of abuse, because I think this is total bullshit. Did I answer the question, or did I go off on a tangent? I'm not quite sure about that. What was the question? Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. CPTSD in the DSM 4 or 5, 6. Sorry. Coffee's starting to hit. Anyway, I don't know. But it should be. It absolutely should be. It should be in there. It absolutely should be. And I think that colleges need to stop pussyfooting around, and they need to teach about domestic violence, because I'm sorry, this is a huge issue, like fucking enormous, and they're just acting like la 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 la, we're just not gonna pay attention, la 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 la, if I don't see it, it's not happening, la la la. You need to help the victims. You need to help the targets. I'm sorry, that's all there is to it.
Contact those people.
Okay, the ACA, if you go onto Google and you type in the American Counseling Association, it will have a contact thing, and you want to address it to the president. Address it to the president of the ACA, the American Counseling Association. The other one is the American Psychiatric Association or Psychology Association. Address it to the president of that. Absolutely. So, oh God, misdiagnosis. Yes, there will be misdiagnosis like nobody's fucking business. So, complex post-traumatic stress disorder oftentimes gets misdiagnosed as borderline. It gets misdiagnosed as ADHD. They don't recognize CPTSD because they're old school. They're not dealing with the here and the now. They're not dealing with the incoming targets of abuse. They're not dealing with what I'm seeing out on the streets. Do you see where I'm going with that? So what happened when I was going to school is they refused to discuss any domestic violence, any personality disorders, any post-traumatic stress disorder. And I'm sorry, that's the majority of what I'm seeing. So there's a problem there. So yeah, I think this definitely needs to be addressed. So contact your local university, start talking about things like that. Abso-freaking-lutely. So, yep, there it is.
There is another question.
Yeah.
I compare myself to my ex-abuser. He's a psychology student, and I want to become one too, but I feel so uncertain now because he moved so fast after the discard. Can you elaborate on this?
Okay, so abusers have to move fast because they need narcissistic supply. This goes for whether they are malignant borderlines or whether they are malignant narcissists. So they move super fast. So they do the discard, and literally within a day, I have seen happen, they have suddenly gotten another supply, probably because they had them on the back burner the whole time. And, sorry, dog face banana patch, where was I going? So they've had them on the back burner the whole time, and they get with them immediately because they need that narcissistic supply. Remember, it is all about their ego. Me, I, more my genitals, basically. And so that's why they get with somebody super quick. It has nothing to do with you guys. Nothing. Zip, zero, zilch, nada. It has everything to do with the abuser. They can't stand being alone. Why? What is going on in their thoughts? Probably not real good. It's probably pretty dark and pretty nasty and pretty mean. So they need to get with somebody super quick. So here's the deal. Stop handing your power over to somebody. Stop it. You don't need to. Go do psychology. If you want to go do psychology, if it's a passion for you, if you want to do what I'm doing, go do it. Go do it. It doesn't matter the naysayers. It doesn't. It doesn't. I'll tell you what. There are so many people out there, you know, wanting to say, no, you can't do this, and no, don't you dare, and no, and I'm going to kick you in the ass. Okay, well, don't you be one of them. Don't you be one of them. If psychology is something you want to do, go do it. The only one stopping you now is you. It doesn't matter about your ex. Whatever your ex does is your ex. Let him go, or let her go, or whatever. Let him go. What they think is none of your business. Let them go. Go do what you want to do. All right. Did I answer that question? Is there another one?
I don't know if you know the what percentage of disorders are trauma based.
This is a great question because we were talking about this the other day. So I said the other day that not all narcissism is trauma-based, and it's not. Because some people, okay, and this was great, and somebody, I wish I could give proper credit because somebody wrote in the comment, all psychopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are psychopaths. That's absolutely correct. So here's the thing. Psychopathy is not trauma-based. It's not. Dexter got it wrong. Although great show. But it's not all trauma-based. It's not. There are just some people out there that are born without that empathy cog. They're just missing a cog. Missing a cog. So BPD, though, borderline personality disorder, is trauma-based. Abso-freaking-lutely. I almost guarantee 99.9999999% of it is trauma-based. There's probably like this teeny tiny one little tiny percentage that is not. But 99.999% of BPD is trauma-based. If you look back at the history, you'll find some sort of trauma, whether it's a medical trauma, whether it was being in an accident, whether it was being molested, whether it was being raped, whether it was being screamed at by a disordered parent. You know, there's going to be trauma in borderline personality disorder. With narcissism, no. And there's somebody out on the web today sitting here going, oh, we should feel sorry for the narcissist. Yeah, fuck you. So no, that's not happening. So there that is.
Okay, I think we only have time for one more.
Oh, time for one more question.
So
Okay.
I used to be easily intimidated as a kid, then grew out of it, and it became really robust. But after abuse versus I'm easily intimidated again, can you learn to overcome this again and not blink, as it were? So they got through it. They were easily intimidated as a child.
Right.
Then they were okay, but then they got into an abusive relationship, and then it came back.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, so triggers. So yeah, when you get into another abusive relationship, you're gonna lose any footing that you had and you're going to slide back. But the truth is you can get it back again. But you just got to stay out of abusive relationships because we never get rid of our triggers. We never do. They lessen, but they're always going to be there. So for example, when somebody reminds me of my dad, right, and they're in my face screaming at me, even though I'm super calm on the outside, I guarantee you on the inside, my little fight, flight, freeze, or fawn center is going, take him down, you know? So, you know, it's always going to be there, and you just have to be aware of it. So yeah, we learn to overcome the intimidation factor, but then we get with an abuser again, and then, oh my gosh, we lose all of that. But yeah, you can learn again. But the main thing is you want to figure out, why did you get with another abuser? Please, please, please work on The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. It's a wonderful book. The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi is another wonderful workbook. Who's Pulling Your Strings, also by Harriet Breaker. I'm missing some books. Anyway, there's just a whole bunch of other... Oh, my book list on Facebook. So go to Facebook. I have my book list on Facebook. It'd be really great. Okay. Yes, you are your only limit. Don't limit you. Don't limit you. Why? Why would you do that? Don't do it. The sky's the limit. Go do what you want. You know, if you want to go write a book, go write a book. If you want to go become a psychologist, go become a psychologist. If you want to write the great American novel, do it. Do it. Don't let anybody tell you no. And especially don't let you tell you no. Stop it. Get out of your own way. All right, guys, I think I'm going to put a fork in it for today. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and there are my two books too. The What's Wrong with Your Dad, when I talk about my dad's disorder. And you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Oh, also, I wanted to let you guys know, I am going to be on tour. So I'm doing California in February. So I'm going to be doing San Diego, Santa Monica, Santa Barbara, San Francisco, and Sacramento. Okay, that's going to be in February. The dates should be up on Eventbrite. And if they're not, they should be soon. Hello, Chris. Then in March, I will be doing New Orleans. I will be in New Orleans on March 22nd, I believe. So I'll be doing a book signing and a lecture there. And then in April, I will be going to Texas. I think we're going to be doing Austin, Houston, and Austin, Houston, and one other.
There is no oh shit, Texas.
There is no oh shit, Texas. I'll have to ask Chris. I can't remember where I'm going. Anyway, so Texas. I'll be in Texas, but definitely Austin. Definitely doing Austin. Okay. And then so that was March, April, May, I am doing a lecture at Fullerton College. So I will be there talking to other psychology students about why they need to study domestic violence and why we cannot get rid of any of the personality disorders. Anyway, there it is. If you're interested in coming to see me live, just go check on Eventbrite and it should have all of them there. I am going to go hang out in Sedona. I'm having a great time here, and oh my God, the food is amazing. Oh my God, it's so pretty, so pretty. Anyway, all right, you guys go have a wonderful day. Thank you for all the questions. And if there's this topic you want me to cover, please go to my Facebook page and I am it, and let me know what you want me to talk about. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. I'm going to hand this off to John because I have no idea how to turn this off. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Good grief.